The final day of the World Blitz Championship 2019 proved to be a roller coaster of excitement and intensity. With Magnus Carlsen initially leading the pack, the stage was set for a thrilling showdown. However, Hikaru Nakamura had other plans, delivering an inspired performance to level the playing field. The battle reached its climax with two additional games to determine the ultimate champion, and it was Magnus Carlsen who emerged victorious. How did the victory unfold for Magnus Carlsen? Join us as we bring you the historic feat, where Carlsen secured his third World Blitz titles, solidifying his status as the reigning champion in all three formats: Classical, Rapid, and Blitz. Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura found themselves locked in a fierce battle, tied with 16.5 points each. In the first game of the decider, Magnus demonstrated his resilience, skillfully holding Nakamura's Ruy Lopez to a draw. The pressure intensified as the players prepared to embark on the crucial second game. It was a high-stakes showdown, a battle of wits and strategy that would decide who would claim the title. The stage was set for a dramatic clash between two chess titans. With the world watching, Magnus made his opening move, unleashing the power of d4 upon the board. Hikaru responded with knight f6, setting the stage for an intense exchange of moves. Knight f3 followed, and the tension began to mount. It was a battle of positioning, as each player strategically maneuvered their pieces to gain the upper hand. Magnus opted for the London opening, a favored weapon in his arsenal. Hikaru, undeterred, sought to challenge the center by playing c5, a bold move that aimed to disrupt Magnus's plans. The clash of ideas and strategies was in full swing. As the game unfolded, Magnus showcased his unrivaled understanding of the nuances of the board. Hikaru, too, displayed his formidable skills, seeking opportunities to gain an advantage. It was a mesmerizing battle, a dance of minds, as both players sought to outmaneuver and outwit their opponent. Hikaru's decision to castle kingside proved to be a turning point. With his queenside pieces barely developed, this choice left him vulnerable. Magnus wasted no time in capitalizing on the opportunity, bringing his rook into action with rook c1, aiming to exploit the exposed position of Hikaru's queen. Sensing the danger, Hikaru swiftly moved his queen to safety, attempting to ward off any potential threats. Magnus continued to strengthen his position, fortifying his king's safety with a castle to the king's side. Hikaru, undeterred, made a move to fianchetto his light-squared bishop, hoping to gain an advantage along the long diagonal. But Magnus's moves were precise and calculated, unyielding in their pursuit of victory. He brought both rooks to the center, establishing a dominating presence on the open files. As the battle raged on, the tension reached its peak. Hikaru sought to rally, developing his knight with knight b to d8, trying to find avenues for counterplay. But Magnus was relentless, attempting to trade off Hikaru's light-squared bishop with bishop a6. Hikaru reluctantly acquiesced, playing knight c6, as Magnus seized the opportunity to capture the bishop. The game took an unexpected turn with Magnus's audacious move, knight to e5, advancing his knight with purpose. Hikaru desperately attempted to trade off or dislodge the knight, playing knight c to d7, hoping to regain control. But Magnus had other plans brewing in his mind, keenly aware of the potential opportunities that lay ahead. In a dazzling display of strategy, Magnus offered his queen for trade with queen f3, forcing Hikaru into a predicament. Hikaru found himself caught between a rock and a hard place. Taking Magnus's knight would hang his own queen, yet trading queens would undermine his own plans. With the pieces locked in a tense standoff, Magnus made his intentions clear. His knight struck at the heart of Hikaru's defenses, advancing to c6 with a masterful knight fork in mind. The fate of the game hung in the balance as Hikaru had to act swiftly to avoid disaster. He played king h8, desperately trying to stave off Magnus's impending onslaught. Magnus, undeterred, unleashed yet another knight into the attack, positioning it menacingly on c4. Hikaru pondered his options, realizing the perilous situation he found himself in. With a tinge of hesitation, he took the a2 pawn with his queen, hoping to buy himself some breathing room. But Magnus was relentless, playing g4 to dislodge Hikaru's knight and tighten his grip on the board. As the game approached its climax, Hikaru's defenses crumbled under Magnus's relentless pressure. His rooks found themselves devoid of squares to move, leaving him in a desperate situation. Magnus capitalized on Hikaru's vulnerability, playing rook c2 with deadly intent. Hikaru's queen sought refuge on a4, but the situation grew increasingly dire for the brave challenger. Magnus struck the final blow, playing rook c8, once again targeting Hikaru's queen. Hikaru desperately maneuvered his queen to safety, but Magnus pressed on undeterred. The tension in the room was palpable as Magnus played g5, forcefully evicting Hikaru's knight from its position. Hikaru realized that the game was slipping from his grasp, as Magnus's advantage grew with each move. In a last-ditch effort to salvage the situation, Hikaru fought back with a series of desperate moves. But Magnus remained unyielding, playing rook f4 with ruthless precision. The endgame was near, and Magnus's mastery was on full display. With a mate in 2 looming over Hikaru, his resignation became inevitable, and Magnus celebrated his triumphant victory.